Hey everybody, welcome back to Geezer Rider. Today's video is about heated gloves. Most people are looking forward to information about heated gloves when we're talking about overall heated gear reviews. And the reason for that is almost everybody's had their hands get cold, and that's the biggest reason for it. Just a quick word on heated gloves and heated gear. If you think that you need a heated jacket or heated pants or heated footwear in order to be comfortable riding, and you have heated grips, so you think you're not going to need heated gloves because you have heated grips, you're going to want to evaluate that. Either if you're thinking of getting heated grips, you don't have them yet, and you're thinking that's the solution versus heated gloves, or you're going to select gloves and you think you don't need really good gloves because you already have heated grips. In short, the problem is that the grip is inside your hand, inside your grip of your palm, and it's heating in here. All the airflow is over the top of your fingertips, knuckles, back of your hand, and trying to get up your arm. So there's really not a lot of heat across the rest of your hand. If you've got the grips turned up so much that some of that heat might bleed up through your glove or whatever, you're probably drawing a lot of power. That may or may not be an issue for you, but don't rule out heated gloves without thoroughly doing your homework for your particular situation. Again, there's never any... aren't many opportunities to say this is what you have to do, and there's no debate. There's always going to be a bit more, I call it homework, for you to do. And sometimes you just want the decision made, and I got some money, I'm ready to go, or I'm tired of thinking about all these permutations. But you don't want to get into a situation where you spent money, you spent time, and you're still not happy with the result. So the other part of this video leads into something that we talked about both, I think, in the intro to the channel and the overview of heated gear altogether. And that is, don't rule out buying yesterday's technology today. What do I mean by that? If you look back at, supercars, for example, 0 to 60 times, et cetera, they're all battling to have top place over 1/10 of a second, the lowest 0 to 60 time. Fast forward 10 years later, and you get those cars literally, half of what they originally cost. And heated gear isn't supercars, but you get the idea. What was best back then is still going to serve you well now, especially if you can buy top tier gear, which you can't afford to buy right now. Maybe you don't need bleeding edge, but you would like something quality. So case in point is what I did here, and I mentioned this, I think, in the overview. I purchased, stumbled into at a dealership, another reason not to shun the dealerships, you never know what you're going to find on a clearance rack or whatever, a pair of Synergy Tourmaster heated gloves. And the Synergy line is still sold to this day, but you'll find Synergy 2.0, or I think maybe even 3.0. These don't even have a number, so I'm guessing they're first gen, or Synergy 1.0. The manual that comes with them is actually a little better than normal. The heated gear manufacturers like to say, oh, here's what to do for our gloves, pants, jacket, footwear, etc., instead of giving you something that's pretty specific to what you bought. But I think what they're trying to do is not only cross-sell you, but they're trying to show you how the components interrelate. And these guys do a wonderful job of providing you the level of detail I like. And by now, by the length of my videos and the information that's included in them, I like a lot of detail. And I think you do too, and that's why you're watching this, because you haven't found it anywhere else. And that's why I make these videos. When I find I'm looking for information and I can't find all the information either in one place or at all, and I get it from some other source, I try and put it together for you guys and put it all in one place. So for example, we talk on and on and on about the amount of power you draw and how much heat it makes at what power and everything. And these guys have their complete model lineup listed here with the, maximum wattage they're drawing for the pants, the jacket, whatever, down to the point where they're putting the differentiation in between their large and like their XX large gloves, you know, because they have more surface area to cover, they have larger heating elements, and that's going to draw more power. So kudos to Tourmaster, or whoever the guy was 10 or 15 years ago that wrote the manual, for being that detailed. I think that's great. I think everybody should do it. You can always choose to ignore it, but it's nice to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And I'll tell you, this level of detail isn't provided by some of the other manufacturers. So what makes these gloves worth buying? For one, they're leather, which I like. Synthetics have a reputation of lasting longer, but they're harder to repair. You can find a lot of people that can repair leather products for you, even as thin as the skins are on a pair of gloves, but not so many that can, you know, handle ballistic nylon or carbon fiber inserts. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is if it's real rubber, and just a quick whiff tells you that this is real leather, rather, that means you can treat it with leather products. You have to be careful that you don't put so much gobbledygook on it that it can't vent out any moisture, but you can certainly treat it and increase the longevity of it. So again, I wandered into the dealership, was looking for a pair of gloves. It was actually, this was the first piece of heated gear that I bought. They were on the clearance rack for like $100. And if you've been looking at high quality heated gloves, you know that that's a pretty good bargain. It gets to be an even better bargain when I show you what else was going on back at the time that they made these. So the heat trollers were very expensive back in the day. And I'm guessing this is version 2.8.09. I'm guessing this is February 809. This is now October of 2019 when this video is being recorded. So we're looking at roughly maybe a 10-year-old glove. These have carbon fiber heating elements in it, guys. This was cutting edge. So don't dismiss, you know, this or some other glove just because it's old and you got to blow the dust off it and take a look at it. You know, check it out. Maybe it's quality gear. Look it up online. See if it had good reviews. Couldn't find a bad word about these things. So again, heat trollers or heat controllers were expensive back in the day. What they did in this model line was they actually gave you the heat controller and they found a way for you to mount the thing accessible. It actually mounts right to the glove. And if you can see here, there's a little pocket for it. There's a little Velcro strap to even help, you know, keep the wire in place. And then you plug the glove pigtail just right into that heat troller outlet, and then you'll notice this other wire comes out and that goes down your arm to your torso to pick up power, which is why this is red. So this would connect to your power supply. So we've talked a lot about, you know, the hardwired connector or the coiled, you know, cigarette lighter adapter connector. So that's going to connect into that, give you heat. And then from there, this would go back up the other sleeve, right? So it's coming from your torso, kind of hard to make in this frame, but I'll try, and go out the other sleeve. And then you would pick up your left glove like this. So for the price of the gloves alone, you were ready to rock and roll. You had your pigtail harness for your battery that was already fused, and you had your heat controller. And from what I can gather, they used this same heat controller not only for the gloves, but also for the pants and the jacket and the footwear. They even had like a little Velcro band to attach this on top of your thigh so you could just reach down and tap it while you're driving if you were trying to control your pants. That's pretty cool. And the thought that this would be able to control the pants and the jacket means that it is capable of high current and is quality and is going to last, because these gloves are going to never draw anywhere near as much as a jacket or a pair of pants will. They might draw an equivalent or more than the heated footwear. So win-win, right? The other thing is, if you decide that you don't want to use it, you simply undo the Velcro, pop the thing out of the little semi-weatherproof housing, and you're good to go. I'm not overly, I think I've mentioned a couple of times, and it's obvious, I'm not a fashionista. I'm not overly concerned about a smooth, slick appearance or sleek lines or having the modern latest and greatest. I like safety, I like functionality. So, you know, that can look a little goofy just sitting there on the glove without the heat controller in there. But, you know, hey, I'm getting a quality glove, and I'm going to daisy chain this off the Gerbing heated hybrid LT jacket that we got. So I won't be using this heat controller for this. What I'll probably be using this heat controller, which you saw in the heated footwear segment, is I'll use it to run the footwear on a separate circuit. So that stays off of there. But for the purposes of this review, we'll go ahead and use it. We'll see how the manufacturer originally intended to use the product and how it shapes up. So what else do we know about these things? Well, I already said they have carbon fiber elements. They have what they refer to as Phos-Lite reflective elements on the jacket, and not elements like heating elements, but just, you know, coloration or piping or some kind of decal that's reflective. A little bit of descriptive information there. Who knows if this is even still a viable, you know, marketing name, but you get the general idea. And those basically are it. I think this little, what I'll call a chevron looking design, is what you have on there that's reflective. And again, when it comes to safety, something is better than nothing. So where do we go from here? And we're going to use the left glove just to have the wires off of it for a little while. So what's the first thing I notice? Again, it's leather. It still smells new after all these years. It has multiple ways to cinch and close the glove around your arm. I'm going to take my watch off for a second just to make access a little easier, to show you what I'm talking about. Stand up, might be out of frame a little bit, but I want to show you what's going on. So I have difficulty finding gloves that fit. My hands aren't that large, but my palm is. So I'm generally a 3XL to a 4XL to a 5XL, depending on what glove manufacturer or glove that I'm buying. Doubling back again on whenever you can try this stuff on, gloves, a nightmare for me to try and get. If you have extra small hands, you're probably gonna have the same problem. Depending on where they're made, the manufacturer, the model, you're make sure that you can send them back and trade them in for another size when you buy them. I would not buy gloves on a whim where there was no way to return them. You weren't 100% sure of the fit ahead of time. Okay, so again, we're going for the left hand. So open this strap up. This is actually going to be around your wrist. Put it in there. What I'm looking for is, can I open my hand almost all the way without my palm being restricted? And the answer is sort of. I'm right on the borderline for me of not being able to open my hand all the way. Like I get to about this point, which is like this for my bare hand, and I can't go like that with, you know, I would tear the glove. This is okay, because what I'm going to be doing is, if this is the grip and this is the clutch lever, we're talking about the left hand, I'm going to be doing this. This is the largest stretch that I have to worry about. Or I'm going to be doing this if this was my throttle hand. And the gloves are going to conform a little bit. They're a little stiff now because I haven't used them that much, but they're going to conform a little bit to this general shape. I'm not trying to always do this. You know, if I stop to get gas and don't take my gloves off or something, whatever it may be, you know, I may wish I had a little more stretch in the palm. What you don't want is something that's so tight in the palm that you're like this. It's going to drive you crazy, because you're always going to feel like you're trying to constrict your hand to fit within the glove. Your hand should just go in there and flop in there after a bit of use. And again, this is heated gear that we only wear for a limited time, even in the cold weather riding season, right? So it's going to take a while to break in. So you want to try and use it as often as you can, as early as you can. Test it, especially during the warranty period. Top tip, to get it broken in and make sure you understand how it functions. So it's all second nature to you, right? You don't want any distractions on the road. This stuff should all be second nature. So back to the fitment. We have this around the wrist. And what's this for? Two things. One, it keeps the glove on your hand should something happen. It also restricts airflow up the glove. Not too tight, not too loose, but it's there, right? So we're good. We've got a pretty good gauntlet area here, and you can either choose to cinch this tight down or put your jacket sleeve underneath of here first and then cinch down on top of that. So the cold air is going over top of that, and then there's no backflow, or if you get a tailwind or whatever, it can't come back under here, because you also have this adjustment that you can make to close the cuff, right? So multiple ways to change the fitment for different people, and as your gear might change, this is obviously going to adapt. If you have a jacket with a very thin cuff, you can cinch it up tight. If you later on get a jacket with a big cuff, you can back it off a little bit. Seems a little bit, making a mountain out of a molehill, but over time, again, we talk about 5, 10, 15-year life cycle for heated gear. This makes a difference, right? This is the ultimate value proposition. In addition to that, and I'm going to take it off because it's just going to be easier for you to see, there's also an additional with the liner that you see here at the entrance to the glove, almost a complete wind block to cinch down on you. Let's say you were out and the only thing you remembered to pack was your heated gloves, so air's still trying to get underneath there because you don't have a jacket sleeve, right? Maybe you had a vest or something. You can actually take this, hit the little button, and cinch this up closed, right? Bit of elastic here. It's still viable, it's still pliable, it's still flexible after all these years. So there are 3 ways to adjust fitness on this glove. Pretty cool. What else do they think about, and how do you tell about a garment that it is a quality garment? If you look, there's a little extra padding here, there, where you're going to impact the glove against something, the back of the hand, the back of the fingers. There's raised areas here where it's reflective, all extra padding. This area here is accordioned, I guess you would call it, to aid in flexibility. Again, here with the bend of the fingers. And this little gizmo, right? This was popular for a while. And this is basically a windshield wiper for the visor on your helmet. This is your left hand. You get out in the rain. I don't know why it is. Anytime I'm out for more than a 2-day ride, I'm going to be riding in rain as part of it. It's just the luck that I have. And you can reach this up and squeegee across the face shield and wipe it off, or get most of a bug off, for example, or something like that. I don't know how practical it really is, but it was a nice added touch they put in there. It looks like it's installed well. It's not going to come undone or be a problem waiting to happen. Pretty good. So we went over the fitment of the heat troller, and we talked about its functionality in heated footwear, but we're going to use that again. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'll leave the watch off again. Just a couple other items, from back in the day, the Tourmaster Synergy product sheet. You can pause, rewind the video if you want to read that a little more. Thinsulate, everybody knows what that is by now, but this is 40-gram Thinsulate. They call it out. It's micro text on the inside. Not going to get you to try and read that, but also know that this is water resistant. I talked about getting caught in the rain, and this included rain guard technology, and they claim it's 100% waterproof, but it's still going to breathe. So hey, I'm pretty stoked. Quality stuff. So I've had this on for a little bit because we had it turned on in the other segment, but we'll go through this again. So I have an ammeter in line with the battery. It's again, cheapy little Harbor Freight ammeter, cheapy little meat thermometer, insertion meat thermometer. So very poor man's way of doing this, but we'll get through it. So these things turn on by default to high, and then go medium low off, kind of like a ceiling fan. Nobody knows why, it's just the way everybody does it. So here we go, we're gonna hit the green button, turn it on. It's on high heat. It draws 2.75 amps. That's a lot. That's about double what the heated footwear was drawing. We're gonna drop it down to medium. See that went to the yellow LED. It's now 2.04, 2.05 amps. reasonable, but still a little high, providing it's giving you the heat. We'll drop it down to low, and it's now at 1.39 amps, so a little less than 1.5 amps. And any accessory heated gear like footwear or gloves probably should draw 1.5 amps or less, right? For pants, or especially a jacket with much more surface area, you know, the jacket, you've got the heated collar, the arms, the chest, the back, all that. It's just too much real estate, too much heating element. The heated, the Gerbing heated LT hybrid jacket that we reviewed already, on high power drew 6 amps. I've only got 15 amps on my bike for total accessory power for everything. And that's assuming like you're at about 2000 RPM. That's the other thing to remember, guys and gals. If you're out there in bumper to bumper traffic, you need to turn this stuff down or turn this stuff off, because you're running off the battery, and you can run the battery down to the point where if you stall out, you're not going to be able to restart the bike. Unless you're old school and you have a kickstart, you don't see that too many times these days. So keep that in mind. You want it low or off if you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. Makes sense. There's hardly any wind going over you in those conditions. Yes, it's cold out, but this stuff is all still insulated. So save the higher settings if you need them for higher speeds, right? They go together. Again, you want to get very familiar with the operation, so it's all second nature to you, so you can make those adjustments almost without thinking of it. Depending on what accessories you have on the bike, let's say just like using your turn signals or your high beam, low beam switch, for example. It should be muscle memory like that. So the gloves have been on for a little while. We talked about the current draw. Ambient temperature in this room is 70.3, 70.5 degrees. I'm just going to go ahead and put the probe inside up towards the fingers and get a reading. And it's already starting to rise. We're at 73, 74. And I know from before, even on the low setting, this will continue to climb in the 80-degree range. If that sounds low to you, remember, no matter what's going on, your body's still burning calories. It's still trying to create heat. It's trying to get your core up, and it's trying to get you to 98.6 degrees internal core temperature. Your extremities are going to be lower than that. There's a couple of things going on. So you're augmenting your body's heat. You don't have no heat in your frozen fingertips. You just have so little that it feels horrible, right? So you have the heat provided by the glove. You have the insulation of the glove. They're combining. The insulation's holding it in. So you're going to be toasty warm. Think about your heating your home. You don't set your thermostat in your house to 99 degrees or 98.6 degrees to feel comfortable. You set it at 70 something in the winter, right? You know, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher, but you get the general idea. So the heated gear doesn't need to be that much warmer than that to keep you comfortable. You're just trying to ward off wind chill in the cold air infiltration as well. You know, the cold air is always trying to get into you. Just the inverse of when you're riding in the summer and heat's always trying to bake you, right? So we're up to, you know, 91 degrees on low setting. If you're using the heated gear when it's not really cold out, this could actually get too hot for you. So again, with that muscle memory of knowing how to operate all the components in your heat troller and everything, you might need to turn this off to get comfortable again. Being too hot is just as much a distraction when you're riding as being too cold, right? So you need to be prepared to address that. And this is at 93.5 degrees, and it's starting to slow down. So I think it's gonna settle out around 94, 95 degrees. More than warm enough for me. I will probably wind up somehow turning this off or running it on a separate circuit so that I can turn that down for my personal preferences. So we talked about not turning our nose up at older equipment. This was top of the line back in the day. It's quality then, it's quality now. Might not look modern, but if you're looking for safety and functionality first, I don't think this is going to put you off. Obviously, we don't know that much about it. I haven't used these this much, so I will do a longer term review Probably next fall. I intend to use these all throughout the rest of the fall, through the winter on dry days, and in the early spring. So they're going to get wet too. And we'll figure out what we had to do to treat them. And we'll do a couple follow-ups, you know, just to see how they're wearing, so that you can see, along with me, you know, was it really a value proposition? You know, saving, I'm guesstimating about between $70 and $90 versus the modern equivalent of this from the prices that I've seen. And the new ones don't normally come with the heat troller if they plug into the battery. The bike's battery, that is. So that would, you know, that's another expense spared here. I hope you enjoyed the segment on heated gloves. If you have any questions or you know, anything you want to add, put that in the comments. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of this and be notified when new videos come out, hit the subscribe button and you'll get that as well. Ride safe. Namaste.